Everyone, Kvaris here. For today, we actually received a pretty sizable update for PSO2 New Genesis with a higher level, a whole bunch of quality of life and different changes, and a return to the Kvaris region, giving it a higher rank of sorts. Before this, today, I'm going to actually talk about the gear that came with this update. We got a new 10-star weapon series and also a new 9-star set of armor pieces, which is the first that we've seen so far. For the weapon, we got the Reyaar Weapon series, which is available for all weapon types, and this is the second 10-star that we've gotten so far, besides the Guards. With this one, though, it's going to be much easier to obtain, and definitely one to shoot for, which we'll get into in a little bit. But for this thing's stats, it has a little bit higher attack power than the Guard series, just like 4 points more at 1098 here. So not too much of a difference there, but with its potential, that is where the big difference is always at for weapons. So with this one, it's plus 36% potency at level 6, which is 1% less actually than the Guards. But this thing has a PA and technique potency increase as well of 5%, which stacks on top. But this is exclusive to PAs and techniques. So if you're doing like weapon action counters, normal attacks, or class skill attacks, then it is not going to count with that 5%, and you're only getting the 36% potency there. So just keep that in mind. But with just this being 1% less than Guards and PAs and techniques being the meat of basically every class, you should be doing overall more damage. But this does come with a penalty of PP consumption plus 10%. So for all your PAs and techniques that you're using, it's going to cost a little bit more photon power to actually get that gain. So because of this, you may want to look into getting more maximum photon power, mainly through augments or different armor pieces. Then also on those armors, look into getting fixes to kind of make up for that difference in different ways. But speaking of the armors, for the new ones, we have the Einea Armor. This is the regular version. They're pretty much just like upgraded Octo armors. This one is not tradable in the personal shop, but the other two that are also available with this update are tradable in the personal shop. But for this, they all have the same amount of potency given, 5.5%. That's a whole percent higher than the Octo armor. So this is definitely the best currently for your DPS. But for this regular Einea armor, it gives 20 HP and 2 photon power. And in addition, 20% cold or freeze resistance, but this also applies to the other two Einea armors that we'll take a look at. Currently, I don't have the other two armors on my person, but like I said, they are tradable in the shop, unlike the one that we just saw. So we can actually take a look in the player market here. And one of them is the Einea Armor Vida. This is the HP variant, as we typically see with the green versions of armors. This one has 30 HP versus the 20, but it has no photon power attached. Everything else, though, is the same. And then for the other one, we have the Vio, which, as you may guess, has no HP, but it has 6 photon power. So for each of these, you can pretty much spec into something specific if you want more photon power, more HP, or if you want something more balanced, like with the orange armors. But with the orange ones, you do have to earn them for yourself. You can't buy them in here. If you want still a balance like the orange armors, you can do that with the Vitas and Vios having a certain combination. So if you don't want to go like all photon power, all HP, but want to have the orange but can't get it to drop for whatever reason, you can actually combine 2 Vitas together, which gives 30 HP each. So that's the 60 equal to the 3 orange that you would have. And 1 Vio, which gives 6 photon power. So with the orange ones, you get 2, so that's up to 6. You get the same exact substats as you would with 3 oranges, but you can do it with these instead. So that's pretty much it to the stats of the weapons and armors with this update. They are pretty much the best in slot, so if you're looking to min-max, these are the things to go for. And from what I've seen, they're relatively easy to get, which is what we're going to get into right now. With all of the content that got added with this update, there's pretty much like higher ranks of everything. So Belagana Ruins got a new rank, rank 4 to level 85 enemies. And in here, you can actually get the Reyaar series to just straight up drop, and also get the different Ioneas to drop as well, but not the Vio, at least in the Belagana Ruins. And at a later date, in a couple weeks, the Lost Central will get a new rank, and I believe the Vio armor will be able to drop in there, but not the Vita. So kind of, depending on which one you want to go for, you kind of pick and choose. You can also get these weapons and armors to drop in the urgent quests of Kvaris or their trigger quests versions with their newest ranks. The level 85 ones, so like the Mining Rig Defense Kvaris, you can get all of those Reyaars and all of the Eineas as shown here. And also, the Remnants of Ambition does the same thing with the level 85 version, rank 2. You can get all of those weapons and all of the different armors. And then for the last spot that you can actually get these to drop, it's the Gorge in Kvaris itself. This has actually been made easier to navigate with these new torches, where if you cross their flame aura, you actually get a flame damage buff, but also can ignore the low cold temp damage thing over time, which is very nice. But they also updated the levels of the enemies inside. So the Dread enemies have been increased, and as well the Ancient enemies. But they also added some new Starless bosses there too, with a new Dread Starless and Recon Gigants and Malevolent Gigantics bosses. All of those things I mentioned have a chance of dropping these things, but you can actually guarantee getting the Reyaar Weapon series by actually being able to craft it in an exchange shop. This exchange can be found at the item trader or through the Resto NPC in the Kvaris camp, where I don't know if you still need to do the quest line for it, but all you gotta do, if you still do, is just kill a couple Crocodilus, which you can find guaranteed with the vets, like around this area, North Kvaris. And then also you need to kill some Equalizer enemies, which you can find in Geolab rank 1. So you can get that done easily enough if you need to do that still. But in here, you can get the Reyaar series, but it costs quite a bit of resources. You'll need 75 Icicle Cube 2s, 300 Icicle Orb 2s, and 500 Icicle Cube, essentially, 1s. These two are completely new resources to this update, which you can find also in this exchange shop. So these can be exchanged for regular Icicle Orb 1s, like for all three of these, and then some sort of notable consumable that you find out in the Kvaris region in different spots, then also Blizzardium of varying amounts. For this, this isn't like really the main way to get these different resources, but just extra on top to help you get towards this if you already have these different things that have just been built up over time. Where you get these to drop naturally, though, is actually all of the content that I already mentioned to where these can drop straight up. So doing Belagana Ruins can give you some Icicle Cubes. Going to those UQs can give you all three of these things. And then also the Gorge is very good for getting these, as you get the Icicle Cubes from basically every enemy that dies in there. You can get the Icicle Orb 2s from the Dread enemies, and I believe the Gigantics, I'm not 100% sure on that one. But the Icicle Cube 2s you get from killing the Ancient enemies. So basically doing any of the new content with their highest ranks or the higher level enemies will net you all these over time. So that gets you towards this guaranteed, while you could also get it to just straight up drop while doing that same content. So this kind of a loop is definitely something that people have wanted for quite a while with NGS. I'm glad that it's finally here. But there's also a few other ways to get these materials, but they're mainly one-off deals. With this update, they actually added new red boxes to the Kvaris region. They added 3 more for each of the exploration zones: South Kvaris, West Kvaris, North Kvaris, and Central. So for each of those spots, you can actually check to see if you're missing them in the collectible section. It'll show like 3 is missing or however many is missing in this little spot. You can take a look at the sector info, and you can do that for each one. Then to find them easier, you can actually go to your mag settings, then go to active sonar target settings, and check mark the item container red box, so then it'll start pinging you once you get nearby. But I also have a map if you just want to look at that, which I'll show on screen, and I'll show you all the new locations for the red boxes. For each of these, you'll get 3 Icicle Cube 2s, 12 of the Icicle Orb 2s, and 20 of the regular Icicle Cubes. So it actually amounts to quite a bit if you get them all, or it should net you about half of one of these Reyaar weapons, and it should make the grind way faster for your very first one. Another one-time deal that's available with this update, but is also limited, is this task here, which is available until March 12th of this year. And with this, you get a lump sum of all of those resources we already mentioned, but you just gotta kill 20 Dread enemies in the Gorge, which is something that you're gonna be doing anyways to get towards the Reyaar series. That's all the methods for the weapon at the moment. You should be able to get it pretty fast in like a few hours as long as you get those red boxes and complete that task, all that stuff. But for the armors, there's currently no way to actually craft any of them. I do think in the future, though, that Einea Armor, the regular orange one, will be craftable, because otherwise, why would it be non-tradable? So I actually took a look at the future roadmap, and I believe with the Lucille Exploration expansion, they're going to be changing that growth med exchange at like the item trader, where currently you can exchange growth mint for octo armors. So instead of having the octo armors in here, you'll probably be able to get those Einea armors inside. While we're here at the item trader, there actually is another way to get the Reyaar weapons, but it's a little bit different. If you check the Arcs Record badge exchange, you can see Mark I versions of the Reyaar series. These are a little bit different to where their attack power is a bit less, like 30 or so points from the regular series, but that's the only difference. And you can get these through 30 Arcs Record badges, so just doing a few records throughout the week or a couple weeks, you can get one of these. But for this, you won't want to use it as your main weapon. Their main purpose is to multi-weapon into a regular Reyaar series, because it converts the Mark I into a regular one as long as you use it as a material item and not the base item. And since you could technically multi-weapon into the regular Reyaar series, it also allows you to use the enhanced preset skill system in the item lab with these on regular Reyaar series. So it's a good way to get that enhancement fodder to up your fixa. The way that I would do this, though, has changed with this update, because now in the item recycle, you can get add preset skill level 1s, which guarantees a random level 1 fixa on any of your equipment for only just a few NEX cubes, and you can get 3 of those every week. So any gear that you're using is going to guarantee have a level 1 fixa. The way that I would do this then is I would try to get a level 1 fixa on a regular Reyaar series that I would want, which is like Fixa Fatale is very good, and Fixa Wix is now very good for this series in particular. And then once I get that one that I want on a regular weapon that I'm going to be using, then I go to the Mark 1s and put as many, Fixa 1s on those. Doesn't matter what it is, and I can use it as enhancement to try to upgrade that level 1 on my regular series to a level 2. And I keep going and going and going, but it's just going to be, more weapons along the way to get higher levels. So basically, in short, these Mark 1s are used for multi-weaponing into regular Reyaar series and are good for enhancement fodder with the preset skill upgrade system. That is everything, though, that I have for you guys on these new weapons and armor. These are the current best in slot to use, so go for the Reyaar weapons and go for the Einea Armor if you want to start min-maxing. And also, they're relatively easy to get from what I've seen. They drop like crazy from all those things that I mentioned. I got like 4 of the armor pieces in just like a few hours in the Gorge. And then for the weapon, you can get it guaranteed through crafting anyways if you don't get it to drop. That's a huge plus. But with the Flugel, it isn't completely, shot out of the water. It is very close to DPS with this Reyaar series. So if you already have that and have a high fix on it, just keep using that pretty much. But you can also use it in tandem with the Reyaar series by when you're using a PB, use it with the Flugel so you get that buff effect for like the 2 minutes or whatever, and then switch back to the Reyaar series and you should still have that buff going. That's pretty much the best way to min-max everything to do with the current end game. Hopefully this helped you guys out, though. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.